Welcome back to the Tripping Off podcast. Is Christmas an emergency, an urgency, or just a pain in the ass? We had some really great business meetings this week that sparked a conversation because a lot of business is a reflection of the individual running it. And so a lot of times the things that we talk about are really refining our own process. And just there's no quicker way to recognize your shortcomings than to have a team depending on you.
Yeah.
And to that point, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to have a kid. And that's great. Like, please, if you don't want to have a kid, don't have a kid. Mm-hmm. But for me, I was talking with my wife over the weekend, and she was no. That would be a terrible way to tell you on the podcast. Now that you gave me the suggestion, that's how I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna tell you while we're in podcast. So just be ready for that.
I told Thea that how we're gonna announce it is telling our parents first. We're just gonna send them a whole crate of cream pies.
Nice.
And then a whole crate of Oreos.
Nice. I get both references.
And
should it be caramel candies instead?
Caramel candies.
Some little like Werther's caramel dip. They make those little spirally caramel ones with like the cream in the middle.
Yeah.
Damn shits are good.
That's exactly what I envisioned in my head, actually.
That's great. Some little caramel candies with cream in the middle.
By the way, if anybody's listening to this was the suggestion of my wife, who is Black.
Right. So it's fine.
I'm repeating what she said. These were not my ideas.
Oh, man.
There's so much to that.
I was watching another video where it's like, all this stuff, tell your therapist things, be honest with your partner and stuff. And it's like, the thing that I'm scared about, the person on the video is saying, the thing I'm scared about is anybody getting a hold of the group chat with my closest friends. Because it's the most degenerate, racist, inappropriate stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. Sometimes I'll tell a joke in therapy, and they're like, "That's kind of dark." I'll be like, "We're therapists. It's got to be kind of dark. It's gonna be dark."
My first client today, they're like dealing with suicide. A friend of mine, a long time, committed suicide, and they're like, it was a couple session. They had the realization that in session that I deal with that every holiday season, and both of them were just like, how often do you have to deal with this over the holidays? And I was like, every holiday.
Yeah, mostly every day.
Yeah.
Mostly every day. Yeah, one of my interns got subpoenaed, has to go to court tomorrow.
For a suicide situation?
No, not suicide situation. Terrible, yucky custody battle stuff. Which are the worst. Suicide stuff, you can kind of help someone process through it and like get over it, and there's like a real sense of accomplishment. It's like, man, doing my thing as a therapist. But when it's custody battle, nobody wins. So there's no reward for that. That doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But was talking with Joy over the weekend just about like her history of sexual trauma and stuff. And, she was talking to me about some friends of hers who would talk about and she was processing how that felt. And she was like, it really frustrates me when people will like say something's rape and then like you ask them the story and it like really isn't. It just like was, weren't advocating for yourself or whatever the situation was, or it was like adjacent. And those are all terrible things, but the context for my wife is she was many times from like being 12 years old to 16 in her own room.
So it's like dismissive of her experience.
And so, but the people who are saying this, like, have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, have no idea the way that what they are saying is impacting her, particularly that she did go through those things. And they are using words to make their situation seem worse and, like, try and garner, like, attention and sympathy when it's like, you have no clue. And so it's a fine line to balance because, those things certainly still are very important and like horrible. Yeah. But at the same time, it can be difficult for her because she's like, it's tough to have like real care and concern because they don't know what it's actually like. It was just a situation that they didn't appreciate. And one of the stories that she told in particular was a situation where it was just a case of regret. So it was a lot of drinking. It was late night. Both people were consensual, and then next morning wake up like, oh, I really regret that. And it's like, I think I was raped. And it's like, man, that's tough to tell somebody who was like abused and hurt.
Yeah.
Those stories. How did we get on that topic?
Well, I think that it has everything to do with what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I'll introduce that maybe.
Fantastic segue.
So let's come back to that though, because I think it's a really great example. One of the things that I have wrestled with and have gotten a business coach for is
he's great.
Understanding what an emergency is. And understanding like scale. So kind of going to that is like going like what needs to be done, how to prioritize things, and what is to say like this is something that is actually an emergency, or I need to deal with these other three things because they're actually emergencies, and this one gets put off till tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so he has a little scale that he has been really amazing for me, and it's for business stuff. But let's talk about it. I'll share that, and then we'll come back to like the mental health side of it, especially the trans side of it. But he says an emergency is an actual emergency is when there's going to be physical bodily harm or financial ruin within the next 24 hours.
That sounds like an emergency.
That's an emergency.
Yeah.
And
the background of the business coach is like ex-military guy. So
yeah.
Loss of life and limb is like, yeah. That's actually part of.
Yeah, that could actually happen.
That could actually happen. So I appreciate that though, because he brings that experience of actual emergency into, guys, listen, let's take a deep breath. Let's think about the right way to address this, because it's not an emergency.
And maybe there's no emergency that's happening right now, and that's still the highest priority, but putting whatever is going on in this scale is going to be the thing that gets you to evaluate and maybe reevaluate and reprioritize what needs to happen, maybe. So that's an emergency. Actual like physical bodily harm or death, and then financial ruin.
Yeah, I'm gonna be destitute.
Yeah, like not something that's like, oh, this is going to cost me some money if I don't deal with this right now. Like this could ruin the business.
Yeah.
An urgency is when there's actual bodily harm or financial ruin that could happen in the next 48 hours to a week.
Yeah.
And so it's labeled an urgency if it's like, that ruin is not going to happen today, but it might in 2 days.
Or by Friday.
Yeah. And then he calls everything else a weekly task.
That just really kind of knocks you down to the knees, doesn't it?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I just have to go to work today.
Yes. And there are very important things that I have to deal with today. And there are very significant things that have to get done today in order for me to get the next things done tomorrow. But one of the things that I was struggling with, what kind of brought this idea up, is my parents.
Okay.
My parents are people that thrive on what they would call emergencies.
How does one thrive on an emergency?
They're great in crisis.
So to access that greatness, everything must be a crisis?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that could be very stressful.
They've normalized that, and it's not for them.
Oh, who's it for?
Well, it's stressful for me. That's what I mean. It's not for them. Meaning like it's not stressful for them. Always running in this crisis mode.
It's just how they do. Yeah.
And so,
can I interrupt? Is there an ADHD connection to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
Because I was going to say, before I was medicated, everything was an emergency because the only way that I could access concentration was through adrenaline. So if I felt like it was life and limb, I could focus to get the task done when really it was a weekly task. But then we probably should talk about, as you get into the parent story, how you just made everyone in the audience feel dismissed about how intense their stress is, and you just told them it wasn't an emergency. What do we do with that? Because I think even before we share information about how to reprioritize and how to deal with stuff, everyone's already defensive of like, Zach just said the stuff I was going through is an emergency. That's how everyone on a podcast talks, by the
Sure.
way.
I kind of want to challenge that,
Please.
but also I can empathize with that.
Mm.
This is for my parents. This is how it's always gone. If it's not an emergency, one, them in their childhood didn't get validated. They just got dismissed.
Which is what everyone right now is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whoa. So maybe everyone who's having emotions right now should think about, was your voice not heard?
Their voice was not.
And, you know, the individuals I'm thinking about, like with Joy's story, you know, the reason that they say those things is their voice wasn't heard.
Yeah.
The individual that we're talking about specifically, where it was just regret, they come from a very affluent family. Dad's like super machismo, like patriarchal. And so if there was a concern or a thought from, you know, this, you know, baby daughter, listen, sweetheart, not a big deal.
Oh, man.
And so then the language starts to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they have to. When you're dismissed so early on in your life, I can't see an alternative but then to make it an emergency.
Man, and I tell you what, with raising my son, like when he ever says, excuse me, if he says, excuse me, drop everything, turn immediate attention, sink down to eye level. That was so great, man. How can I help you? Because we really try and redirect the blah to, excuse me.
Perfect example.
When you say, excuse me, but it's contingent upon the parent's response. Like if I don't have that urgency, as if he's screaming like he just ripped his foot off,
yep,
then I'm not, well, then he's going to escalate it to, listen, this is the biggest emotion I'm ever feeling in my 3-year-old life.
Yep, it is. And
it is. It's not 3 years old. It's not,
it
not
feels,
a lot happens in threes.
but in our definition of what an emergency is, it does feel like an emergency when you're at that age.
Yeah, because this is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. We had to have that brief interruption.
And if I don't get that cookie, I might die. My parents will leave me, and I'll be alone, and I won't know what to do.
Yep,
that's what it feels like.
Yep. Oh man.
So what happens
over
the course of time is that language and that trance, if I can, gets bigger and bigger and bigger to where it's like I remember this. I have a story. I cut the tip of my thumb off when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to make Capri Sun slushies, so I would freeze them.
Okay, I was like, explain.
I would freeze them, and then I would cut them open and put them in a blender.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was great.
You still do that, don't you?
I have, but not very regularly. Too much sugar for me right now.
Ooh, true.
But I took a knife and I was trying to cut it open, and it got stuck in the ice, and then knife went straight into my thumb, and then cut it off at like a angle, popped it open right above the bone. It was like flopped over.
So it wasn't just a little bit.
No. It was the only part that was still connected was the skin on this side right here.
So there's just no bone in there? Where'd the bone go?
It hit like the bone and went right above it.
That makes sense.
And so it was just like the flesh on the top was just pulled off.
Thumbs are pretty damn important too.
So there's blood everywhere. Go to my next door neighbor. I was home alone. I go to my next door neighbor. She takes me to where my mom was, which was a softball game. And I remember being so disappointed because I was like, hey, Mom, I think I need to go to the hospital. It's like still squirting blood out. I'm just like pushing the tip of my thumb back onto my finger, got a whole roll of paper towels that are filled with blood. And my mom's just like, this is an emergency. Your sister is about to throw a no-hitter in her softball game. I was like,
Mom. Oh, wow.
And this sticks in my head because I imagine that's what they went through so much. Especially, I think both my parents have ADHD.
I've met them. Yes, they
Uh,
do.
and this is what they dealt with. Like what because of the exaggerated nature of how they had to grow up being dismissed, they had to make no. This is something my sister's high school softball career can wait.
Yeah.
This could be serious bodily harm, and maybe it's not an emergency, but it is an urgency. Like this needs to be dealt with.
I would say emergency.
I wasn't going to die.
It's pretty important life and limb kind of thing. This is one of the limbs. We're on the cusp at least.
Sure.
Maybe I'll compromise with you there.
Great.
This guy, man, what am I going to do with him?
And so I waited. She finished the inning, and
So you're just sitting there in the baseball game,
bleeding.
That's not a real picture. Like that's not. Sometimes I listen to stories of people's life, and I'm like, if somebody ever proposed this, like an author for the plot or the sequence of a TV series, it would get dismissed and be like, no one's going to believe that.
No one's going to believe it.
Yeah.
I got a couple of those with knives.
It's
penetrating.
It's every day in my therapy office. Of like, sure. No one would believe this if someone wrote this down.
Exactly.
And it was like, hey, this is the plot for the next episode of The Office. No,
we can't go that extreme.
Yeah. Did it happen? It happened. That's crazy.
So now there's this experience to where this weekend it's like I have to go get windshield wipers. We have to stop everything. The windshield wipers need to be dealt with, and I have to deal with this because it's an emergency, because I won't be able to use my truck if it rains tomorrow, and I have to be able to use my truck, including if it rains tomorrow. So we got to change plans, and this needs to happen. And I can see, and so my empathy for this is, if it's been dismissed and plans have been dismissed and ideas and feelings and all of that has been dismissed for so long, this thing that doesn't have to happen. You could use my truck if it rains tomorrow.
I think windshield wipers are okay. Oh, this is your parents' truck?
Yes.
That's amazing.
That can be dealt with next week. And we don't need to have this amount of stress for this.
No.
But the most important part about this is what happens physiologically when we come to normalize that as an emergency when it needs to be a weekly task.
And I'll say on the ADHD part, speaking from personal experience, it is difficult to recognize emergencies if they're not right in front of me. Because my brain I'm at the baseball game. That is my entire world. And so I get a message. Oh, well, it was right in front of them because you were there. Sometimes I'll get a text, and it's difficult. I have to train my brain to be like, okay, let me think about what that must be like for Joy in this situation. Yes, I need to cancel the rest of my day. And it caused some arguments in the beginning of our relationship because Joy would message me with at least an urgency that I should reschedule one of my days this week to make sure this thing happens. But I wouldn't catch the urgency because my ADHD couldn't stop this situation that I'm in and understand, oh, yeah, if I was in that situation, I'd be reacting the same way. And that does need to be like reprioritized.
Well, and maybe my challenge to everybody is just that.
Yeah.
Where we come from and the trances that we pick up are going to influence the skill of doing that. And we're all at different skills in doing that based on how our brains work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if there's one thing I've learned from the business coach, he says every time that the most difficult and mentally tasking process for a person is prioritization. That takes the most brain power. And so if you're going to do that, it's best to do it in the beginning of the day when you first start and you have energy. The coffee's kind of kicking in, you're just waking up, you're fresh, you're not clouded. Start with prioritization of the tasks for the day and then a couple days ahead. Because otherwise, if you get to the end of the day, you're going to mess up your priorities.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it all.
Not to mention if you've got some bipolar going on, some depression going on, some ADHD going on. I mean, now you're just adding compounding variables.
I think for everybody, my challenge, I think it's so important. You don't need to do that perfectly. What I would challenge you to do is practice breaking those trances that demand you do that in a particular way. So we all have trances that say, this type of activity in my day is an emergency. There's a trance there.
Yeah.
Just like going back to, and this is how it ties back into that situation with joy, is like if somebody's been dismissed their entire life, talking about this the night that happened probably is an emergency for them. And physiologically, they probably are experiencing everything like it's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And then communicating with somebody that it was really, really horrible and violent and disgusting. Again, I don't want to dismiss the first person's experience, but without understanding what that scale is and never even thought about it on a scale, she's never going to be able to meet joy where she needs to meet joy in order to be there for joy too.
Yeah.
She's never going to be able to be there.
And that's ultimately why the friendship ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And think about that. Like, there's my parents are doing much better about this, and me too. But last night they decided that they were going to go to a comedy show. My parents love comedy shows. My dad is trying to be a stand-up comedian.
That's great. Honestly, his personality, he'd probably be really good at it.
I think he's a lot better than quite a few of the people that I've seen out there.
Yeah. I've gotten the chance to work with some people who do stand-up comedy, and their personality outside of that performance has a certain flavor to it that I don't think most people would predict, but he's got it.
He's got that flavor.
Yeah, he's got that flavor.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at like 6:20, they're like, we need to drop everything and rush and go do all of this stuff and get ready because there's a show at 6:45.
That they're viewing. He's not performing.
No, he's just going to go to the show.
Okay.
And I was just like, yeah, that's great, guys. You can go. Well, we want you to go with you. I have a rule. If you need an immediate answer from Zach, I can't wait. The answer's no. So we stayed home, and we had a great conversation afterwards where they said that they really appreciated that I just said no. And they were like, that's okay. That's great.
What a great example of a boundary too. It's just like, do whatever you want to do. It's your life. But if you're going to start to make demands on my life, hey, drop everything. We're going to a comedy show in 25 minutes. That's not fair. And so the rule for me is if you think something is an emergency and you need it within the next 24 hours, the answer from Zach is no. You can't make demands on my life within 24 hours. I like that. I don't know if it should be for everybody, but I love that that is something that you have discovered is right for you. Based on your needs. That's great.
Yeah. I think that came a lot from this coach too, that boundary that I have, because I don't know if there's actually an emergency that's going to come up or if there's an urgency that's going to come up. So I'm not going to treat a weekly task, like it is an emergency. I don't want that to be in my body. I don't want to be feeling that physiological reaction, especially because there's so many weekly tasks that I have that if I treated every single one of them, if I felt in my body like every single one of those weekly tasks were actually emergencies, I wouldn't get any sleep. I would have some very serious anxiety. And I think that's why a lot of people have very serious anxiety.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Well, and I don't think that like the age that we live in does us any favors, because I was just showing you before we started the podcast this fantastic clip, which oddly enough, your partner had sent to you, just like my partner had sent to me.
Last night.
Was it really last night?
It was last night.
That's amazing. Send me a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson talking on the Joe Rogan podcast saying, if you take a shower in the morning, it's extremely dangerous. And I was like, I would like to think I'm pretty good with my AI bullshit detector. And so I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like that sounds wrong. Doesn't pass the sniff test. So I go and look it up, and the video looks pretty convincing. I mean, AI is really good. So it like really looks like Joe Rogan, and it's got a lot of, Neil deGrasse Tyson has a lot of videos and podcasts out there where you can train a model on him to make it really look like it's him. But the cadence was off. And so you can kind of tell with AI videos that it's an AI video when the cadence is off, the way that they speak. It's usually rushed. And so I look it up. I'm like, is there any, I Google it, I chat GPT it. I'm like, can you please find me some resources, peer-reviewed journal articles? Because I know how meticulous Neil deGrasse Tyson is with the information that he puts out. It is always backed by a paper that he has personally read. And there's no evidence. Like, there's no research papers out there to say that showering in the morning is dangerous. And so then I start Googling it, and I'm like, Neil deGrasse Tyson, showering is dangerous. And I find a video that starts, if you take a hot shower in the morning, it's extremely dangerous. If you take a shower longer than 5 minutes, it's extremely dangerous. And I'm like, oh man,
Just churning the shit out.
Just churning it out. Like, they've got their hook, they know what works, and then they just get Neil to say whatever the hell they wanted to say. And so I sent it back to Joy, and I was like, listen, I was like, no shame in this. Like, this is not judgment, but I think it's a great moment to say, like, hey, look, the world is weird out there right now. Trust nothing. Do your research on everything, because the information is accessible and it's out there, but you can't just go based off what you saw or what somebody said. Somebody told me that olive pits are lethal. That, like, if you put enough apple seeds together, you can make cyanide poisoning and kill somebody. You heard this one?
I heard that.
Yeah. So someone was like, oh, did you know olive pits were the same thing? It was my brother's bachelor party. And some guy over a cigar and beer is telling me this. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And he thought I was just gonna take it. And I was like, well, we've got the whole world in our hands. Like, let me Google it. Olive pit's extremely dangerous. And it's like, nope. Oh, he felt like an idiot. And I was like, listen, my goal is not to make you feel like an idiot, but I wonder how many people you've told that to, and how many people are now, like, not putting olives on their pizza, or like not putting olives in their food, like their Greek salad, because they're like, oh, well, if I accidentally like chew a piece of the olive seed, it's gonna be bad.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta. The commodity of thinking is in high demand right now.
I'm gonna quote you on that.
Please do. Well, so urgencies, emergencies, and weekly or holiday tasks. I hope that's an encouragement to everybody. One, it's not a dismissal of the emotions that you're having right now, but without accurate information, poor information will continue to fuel your emotional dysfunction, will continue to fuel your emotional burnout and exhaustion. And so I hope that this podcast validates your emotions and recognizes just how stressful the things that you're going through are right now, and how painful the things you're going through right now are, but then puts them into some categories that give you the opportunity to rebalance those emotions and find some peace within your life. Because if we continue to treat everything as an emergency, it is factually impossible for you to have peace, to go to sleep at night.
Your body is going to just be wrecked.
Yeah. And so that's the point of today.
And then don't dismiss it too. There's a balance there.
It still needs to be on the list.
Yeah,
but it's okay to say, deep breath, nobody's dying today because of this. So let me proceed with a plan. Let me calm my nervous system. Because when you're in crisis situation, there's only two options. You either hit it or run. And not everything needs to be punched in the face or run away from. In fact, there's very few situations. That's what I got to say about that. Yeah. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope that things turn into just holiday stress instead of emergencies or urgencies. Because I bet you the apple pie not getting done on time right when dinner is eaten is not an emergency.
It's not an emergency.
They're going to be fine. 30 minutes gives a little time for extra conversation. And it might just be beautiful. Best of luck. If you need us, we're here. Subscribe to the email newsletter. Hit subscribe on the YouTube channel down below. And we'll see you in the next episode. Until then.
Bye.
Bye.